Hello everyone, Warren here again with the Peach State Prime Transformers channel. And today we're taking a look at, you have to consider them Transformers in a sense, but they are technically third-party toys. I've had these for a while, but they're actually the only third-party toys that I personally own. Third-party in the sense that they are, aimed toward representing Transformers characters and even some tooling, and not, original creations like 52 Toys or anything along those lines. And also third party in the sense that they're not officially licensed, but also not, like cheap bootlegs that you'd find at like a flea market or a Big Lots, Dollar General, but really aimed at more at the collector base. And that is the Impossible Toys. I have 3 of them, mini car set. We're going to be looking at, and I still have the boxes, we're going to be looking at MC04 Mini Car 04 Hub. Yeah, you can kind of guess who that's supposed to be. Then we have MC06, or again, Mini Car 6, Glypher. And then we're going to look at MC07, or Mini Car 7, Tapper. So, hope you'll join me as we take a look, see what, kind of make these stand out. And, again, they're several years old now, but looking back, into the past from where we are now, kind of retrospectively, if that's a word, there's something that they kind of remind me of now. So, stick around, and we're going to take a look at these Impossible Toys. All right, so the first one we're looking at is Hub. Now, if you haven't guessed by now, Hub is in fact an homage, or intended to be Hubcap, the classic G1 Minibot from 1986. You can tell it's very much based on the original tooling that, several mini cars shared, most famously Bumblebee and Cliffjumper, and then, of course, Hubcap and some of the others we'll be looking at. So we're looking at the robot mode here. And one of the things that stands out is, in addition to, kind of looking like the regular toy, albeit a bit bigger, it does have some extra articulation, particularly in the knees, and then in the elbows, which is something the G1 toy did not have. And then, of course, it also comes with a gun, which also was not included in the G1 release. Again, just a very faithful kind of homage to the original G1 toy with some updated articulation. The head does not turn, but beyond that, it's a great stand-in if you don't have a Generations hubcap. I know there was one released in one of the several box sets that were exclusive to Target. But, he does have this orange face, which, he's famous for, outside of being kind of a yellow cliff jumper. So, again, this one is kind of nice. We'll take a look at the vehicle mode in just a second. But I want to move on to Glypher, which, was a blue Bumblebee repaint. It's supposed to be Glyph. From one of the previous Botcons. And, it was, the original Glyph was a repaint of the Bumblebee keychain mold. You still got that same articulation in the knees and elbows and the gun. Again, this one more base is very much a, a blue Bumblebee, including the original Bumblebee toy head. There was a Bumblebee version, a quote-unquote Bumblebee version of this mold. Again, I don't have them all. I just have 3. I got these at Toylanta several years ago. And, you know, I went for the ones that I didn't have Generations characters of, and I thought were a little bit more obscure. So again, that's a very nice figure. Again, a good stand-in for a Glyph for, you know, for your collection. I don't believe there's been a Generations version yet. So, again, this is a good stand-in. Then we got Tapper, which looks gorgeous, kind of in that turquoise, light blue color. Of course, this is supposed to be Tap Out from Botcon UK back in the early 2000s. Again, it was a kind of a greenish teal repaint of the Cliffjumper G1 mold when it was re-released as a keychain. Again, this looks just as good. Again, I love the colors as the other ones. What is nice as well is just like with the other two we just looked at, you got that same knee and elbow articulation and a little gun. And what's nice is that the head mold on here is very Cliffjumper-ish, whereas Hubcap has a totally different head mold. So it's not just a straight up repaint of each other. Impossible Toys did change up those heads, which is nice. So taking a look at them all together, here we'll just put the boxes here as a nice backdrop. Bring all 3 of them back out. Of course, they do scale well together. Again, articulation's very nice. Paint jobs are very nice. They're a really nice update to the, again, the G1 toys. And just kind of for comparison, in the many years since I got this, we've had several Bumblebees, but this is the latest Studio Series, this is the Studio Series 86 Bumblebee, not the Devastation one that's out there now. And you can see they are pretty much the exact same height. Now, you know, do these look like the same kind of tooling as a Studio Series or a Generations figure? No, technically not. But again, they're great stand-ins until we either get official releases or you can add one to your collection. And of course, so that's a comparison there in the bot mode, just as far as scale. Now, the thing we really need to show off is the mold that, you know, kind of started it all. And this is a reissue. You can tell by the face on this Bumblebee. So that's a reissue. But you can see how it compares to the same tooling and the same mold that these are all pretty much based on. That they do stand probably about another half figure above the, you know, whether it's Cliffjumper or Bumblebee, Hubcap, whoever you're looking at here. So yeah, I would say it's probably about another half figure taller. Transformation, of course, is very simple, and I don't always show this on the channel, but, you know, I figured I would since these are a little different. So, of course, when you get to one of the, you know, original uses for the mold, or one of the uses based on that original mold, you simply flip the head in, turn the feet over, push the legs in, and then push the arms in, and you got yourself, and this one is really stiff, I don't know why, you got yourself a little mini car, you know, kind of based on a penny racer car. These transform very similarly. Let's take a look at, I'm going to use their real names. Let's take a look at Glyph here. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to push the head in. We're going to push the head in. There we go. And then we're going to push the legs in after we move the feet. Now, I will say, you know, these are third party, so they can be a little finicky. Plus, it's been a long time since I've transformed them. All right. You just got to get it lined up exactly how it should be. Okay, push them together. All right, then you're going to push the... So instead of going straight in, these actually go a little forward. The arms, that is. All right, so there's Glyph in vehicle mode. Again, Volkswagen Beetle, just like Bumblebee here, because Glyph is based on a blue Bumblebee. Looking at Hubcap here. So the heads do kind of push back a little. Okay, there we go. We're going to take the gun out. And that is the one downside is, you know, you got to be careful not to lose these guns when you have them in vehicle mode, because they are very, very tiny. Mini guns for mini cars, I guess. And again, you just kind of wiggle those up. Then we'll do the arms here. And you have Hubcap, which, you know, again, does very much resemble a yellow Cliffjumper. Straighten that up here, straighten that up. All right. And then let's do, last but not least, Tap Out, which again is going to look very similar. That little gap's bugging me. Okay, there we go, fixed. Okay, it's very much going to be a, you know, it's going to look just like Tap Out, or excuse me, Hubcap over there. This is Tap Out. And again, you just got to wiggle them. I mean, you know, joints are not quite as tight, or, you know, and plastic may not be quite as high quality as you would get in an official release, but they are still fun toys. And they're meant more for adults to display and fiddle with rather than kids. So, you know, there's something to be said about, you know, what they can use as far as materials. And again, these are several years old, even by standards of third-party figures. All right, you might be able to squeeze the gun. Let's see, can you store? I was thinking there was some weapon storage down here, but it doesn't look like they want to fit. So, again, you just got to be careful not to lose those. But anyways, there's Tap Out in vehicle mode. So we have all three here, and then we'll put Bumblebee up in the front, so you can kind of, or we'll put Bumblebee next to Glyph. And if you compare it, again, it's about, I'd say it's about a third of a figure longer, the Impossible Toys molds, than the original Bumblebee mold. There you have them in vehicle mode. Again, they look really sharp. They do look like, I mean, they do look like blown up mini cars, because that's pretty much what they are, with some added articulation. But, you know, they kind of pull it off where, you know, this Bumblebee is really short and stubby. This, you know, I feel like he got a little bit more surface area on the roof. So not, you know, not bad little toys. Again, great stand-ins if you don't have any of these characters, or they're not made yet, which is how I've been using them. And they were cheap enough. I mean, again, several years ago, at the most, they were $20 each. Again, who knows what they are nowadays if you run across them. You know, that this was cheaper than a deluxe. I believe it, even at the time I bought them, of an official Hasbro release. So, you know, they are fun little toys. All right, I really didn't want to do a comparison with these bots because I have them still sealed in their baggies when I got them at Botcon 2002. But this is an original Glyph toy. You can see the blue Bumblebee mold there. And it is a keychain, like I said earlier. And you got a bio card, just like the G1 trading cards that came out way back in the 80s. But again, really couldn't do a fair comparison. The bag is looking a little worse for wear. But it is in there. It's that really pretty blue, almost metallic. And then you got tap out here. So again, you know, you get this nice card. Again, reminiscent of those retro ones from G1. And he is a keychain. And you got that nice blue kind of turquoise color there. And again, that bag is looking rough, but I'd rather keep it sealed right now. And then as kind of a bonus, I made a mistake earlier. I said Tap Out was a Botcon UK exclusive. He was not. He was a Botcon 2002 exclusive. This was the Botcon Europe or UK exclusive. This is Rook, and this is a gray Windcharger repaint. So, again, keychain. Got them at the same Botcon. They were available in the U.S., but I had Rook mixed up with Tap Out there. So, just a little correction on my part, and just, you know, kind of a bonus look at this figure in, again, a rough-looking bag. Alright, so we are back in bot mode here, just for some final thoughts. First off, I do want to point out with the boxes, you know, not that we care too much about third-party boxes, but, you know, Impossible Toys did go, you know, kind of on, went the extra mile, and they did include these nice, long, bios on the back. And no, you don't have tech specs, but you do have, again, just a nice long bio. And I'm not going to go through and read all these. You know, I'm not going to do a story time because this would take a while. But, you know, you could take a screenshot if you like to go back and read these later. And one thing that, you know, I don't know if a lot of people realize, but Glyph, what makes Glyph even more interesting, not from an Impossible toy standpoint, but from a, you know, a character standpoint, is she is, that's right, she is a female Autobot, which, of course, are few and far between at times. You know, and I'm not making any statements or theories here. However, again, these are very much blown up mini cars that use the, you know, Bumblebee / Cliffjumper mold and tooling. And they have additional articulation, which kind of sounds like a certain line that Takara Tomy is putting out right now. And yes, I am referring to Missing Link. Do I think Takara Tomy took inspiration from these releases? Not necessarily, no. I'm not making that claim. However, you do kind of get some of that tooling. Now, they did do a Bumblebee and Cliffjumper. However, they are the same size as, you know, your G1, again, Bumblebee and Cliffjumper. Albeit, I believe they gave them guns this time, just like the Impossible Toys releases. And they do have additional articulation. And this one is being very difficult again. There we go. Additional articulation in the knees and elbows. And then, of course, well, I already said the gun, and I believe the heads also turn on those releases. The Impossible Toys ones do not. However, again, if you're more on a budget, I believe the Impossible Toys releases in front of us and the ones that aren't are probably cheaper than Missing Link. Plus, they do stand a little bit bigger. Again, they scale great with deluxe class Transformers. So again, you know, you kind of get a little bit of both there, you know, something kind of a Generations feel and a, you know, a little bit of Missing Link in there as well. All right, so that is going to do it for today's video. If, you know, you have some thoughts on Impossible Toys or third party in general, feel free to leave a comment in the comments. You know, what do you think of these? Do you think they stack up to Hasbro releases? Now, I again am not a connoisseur of third party. I think some of the stuff looks great. However, in most cases, I collect official releases. So, you know, these were kind of a one-off for me. But, you know, so I'm not saying that third-party companies should go and make stuff that represents Hasbro IP, but these are fun little toys. And plus, Hasbro knows that that it happens. Of course, if you want to see more content like this, feel free to subscribe to the Peach State Prime Transformers channel. You know, toy reviews, discussions, you know, previews of upcoming releases. And then, of course, feel free to give this video a like if you enjoyed it. It certainly helps me out. And, you know, I try to bring you new and original content, not just regurgitate everything that's already been done. Though, of course, there's always going to be some overlap. But feel free to give it a like. If you are looking for just for some other fun videos to watch, I encourage you to check out my other channel, which is just simply Peach State Prime. And there I cover all sorts of different events, attractions, theme parks, travel vlogs, fun places to eat and shop. You know, feel free to check that out if you got some time and maybe even subscribe there. But anyways, I want to thank you once again for watching this video. Hope you have a great day and God bless.